You're listening to the 110th edition of the Bitachon podcast. We continue in pasukim from Reb Zundel, collated from pasukim in Tehillim, Perkid Ches, passuk Gimel. We're in chapter 18, verse 3 of Tehillim. Says the pasuk, I'm actually going to read to you 3 pasukim in a row. La'anatzech levad Hashem, l'David asher diber el Hashem, estiri asher azais b'yom yitzil. This is the beginning of chapter 18. This is a song that was written by King David, that he spoke to Hashem. The words of this song, when Hashem saved him, when Hashem saved him, on the day that Hashem saved him from the hands of his enemies and from the hands of Shaul. Vayoymar, erchamcha Hashem chizki. So passuk Beis says that he said, I will have mercy on you. Hashem is my powerful one. Now we get to our pasuk. Hashem sal'i u'metzilasi. Hashem is my rock. He is my fortress. Mefalti is the one who extricates me from my negative situation. Keili is my God. Tzuri, he's my rock. Echse bay, I will trust in him. Magini v'keren yishi, he is my shield. He is the Keren Yishi, he is the exalted one of my salvation. Niskabi, he is the one in whom I can rely, upon whom I can rely. So, beautiful languages, as the Medrash is going to say, there are 9 here, but there's a 10th one, because this pasuk is also in Shmuel, in Shmuel Beis, the 21st chapter. It's a very similar song that David HaMelech sang. And there's 10 different languages that he uses to describe Hashem, to describe God as the one who saved him, as the one upon whom he can rely, etc. Says the Sifri, Ashrecha Yisrael mikamoicha, Amna Shab Hashem again Ezrecha. Pasuk says in Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 29, that the Jewish people is praiseworthy. Who is like you? Who is like the Jewish people? Who is saved directly by Hashem, whose salvation comes and protection comes from Hashem. It says in Sifri, Amna Shab Hashem. What does it mean that we are a nation that's saved by God? It means that our salvation only comes from God, only from the divine presence. Neshab Hashem, Magen Ezrecha. What does it mean? Besides being saved by Hashem, we are also protected through His shield. It brings our concept, which is a parallel concept of what it says in the pasuk in Shmuel Beis, which is that God is my rock. I trust in Him. He is my shield. He's the one who is my salvation. He's the honor of my salvation. So, what the Sifri is saying is that there is a very special and intimate connection that the Jewish people have, and David HaMelech, who's the king of the Jewish people, he is the Neshama HaKoileles. His soul includes the entire Jewish people within him. He's the king. He has a unique relationship with Hashem, that Hashem is his shield. We are shielded, as it were, by God. We have a special protection from Hashem. And as a result of this protection, we can have full bitachon, we can have full confidence that Hashem will save us. He will protect us. He is our rock, and He is the one upon whom we can rely. Now he brings from a measure Sheicher Tov. Rabbanan Amri, Klapi Shenaflu Lefanav Asar Sainim, Amar Sar Kilusin. The sages point out that in this pasuk, and actually, as it's pointed out here in the commentary, if you look at our pasuk, as we mentioned before, there are 9 different ways that Hashem is described as someone who is strong and can be depended upon. And there's a 10th way, a 10th description, which is, there's an overlap of 8 of them in the pasuk in Shmuel Beis. So there are 10 altogether, 10 different languages, 10 different words that are used to describe Hashem and David HaMelech's confidence in God. And it describes, or it parallels, more accurately, it parallels the 10 different salvations that King David experienced from his enemies. Who are these enemies? Shaul, Doeg, Achitophel, Sheva ben Bichri, Shimi ben Gera, Goliath, Shleshes Echav, Goliath and his 3 of his brothers, Shenamars, Arbas, Ela, Yoldu Laharafa, Bigas, Vayiblu B'yad David. So, if we count them all, there's 10 altogether, 10 enemies that he was able to conquer. 5 of which were from the Jewish people, and 5 of which were from the people of Israel. These are the 10 praises that he describes of Hashem. Chizki, right, it's in the passuk before, which we read at the beginning. God is my strong one. Sali is my rock. Tsudasi is my fortress. Mafalti is the one who gets me out of the situation. Suri, it's another language of rock. Or maybe it's the one who fashioned me. Echseboy, I will trust in him. Magini is my shield. Karen Yishi, he is the honor of my salvation. Misgabi, he's the one upon whom I can rely. Umanusi is the one who helps me escape. So we have all of these different languages. I'd like to read to you a little bit here from the commentary. Shir Zeh Amrei David b'Sefer Shmuel Beis. This is also a song, as we mentioned, which is in Shmuel Beis, 2 Samuel, 21st chapter, and it says this is the entire song, but with a few different changes in language. He says, check out Barbanel, he explains the differences. What's the main real difference between this Mizmor in Tehillim, in Psalms, versus the one in Sefer Shmuel? Sefer Shmuel, Yashir Shemaraz al Hatzilas HaPratis. In the book of Shmuel, the book of Samuel, so this song is his personal song that he sang when he was saved. Right? But we know David HaMelech is not just a personal person. He's not just an individual, of course. He's a Neshama Kelelis. He includes everybody. And therefore, the songs that he sings, we also can sing, because his songs are our songs as well. B'Sefer Tehillim said a Mizmor the Kol Misbaided, the language of the I think it's the Abarbanel. He says like this, that in the version which we have in Sefer Tehillim, say there a Mizmor the Kol Misbaided. This is the order of the song for anyone, for any individual, who wants to ask Hashem for salvation, right? David HaMelech and Shmuel was singing this song to thank Hashem for salvation. But now, I want to use the power of what happened in the past. I want to use the power of the previous salvation. The fact that Hashem saved me then, or that Hashem saved David HaMelech, King David, we all have a piece of King David in us. We want to use the power of what happened then for the future, to be saved from our future difficulties. So you use the version in the 18th chapter of Psalms in order to ask Hashem for salvation. Not just to say thanks to what happened for King David, but rather it's also to ask for compassion for the future. Right, so in Pasuk Beis, in the second chapter, in the second verse in Tehillim, in Psalms that we read, it says, Hashem, have mercy upon me. You are the one who is strong. You're the one who I am strengthened by. So that's a request. That language you don't find that language or that line in the song in Sefer Shmuel. That's only in Psalms. Why? Because this, in Psalms here, we're using it as a tool to ask for the future. Hashem, I'm asking for mercy. Because you can use this chapter as a way to request help from Hashem in any and all situations. So it's a very powerful idea. Just think about this, that we've had situations in the past where we've been saved. We've had bitachon and it worked. I can think of situations where I had a very high level of bitachon. It's not something that happens to me often. I haven't been zeiche to the level of the madregas ha'adam. Maybe I touched it, I tapped it for a moment, but I can remember that feeling. And I can remember that moment, and I can say, Hashem, just like you helped me then, in that moment, help me now in this moment. Just like David HaMelech, King David said, just like you helped me then, help me now. Have compassion on me now. So it's a very powerful tool. That's what he's offering us. Now let's see some more of the Meforshim on the Psukim. It says like this. Brings from the Tana of Elio. Ashrei mishu yarei shamayim b'seiser. Praiseworthy is a person who fears heaven when he's all alone, when he's in a hidden place. V'nisham b'mishu tafas magen v'tris biyodei. Interesting. Depend on the one who has the shield and the sword in his hand. Who has a shield and a sword in his hand? So it doesn't mean a human being. Don't depend on the human being who has the shield and the sword. We find by King David that even though difficulties were coming upon him, maybe it's not sure how to read this exactly, but it could be it's saying one of two things. Either it's saying that he didn't depend on his own actions, but rather on Hashem, or it could be that because he had good actions, he had good deeds, he knew himself, he knew that he was faithful to Hashem, so he knew that he could depend, his actions themselves were protection for him. The mitzvahs that we do protect us. The Torah is magna u'matzla. The Torah protects, it saves us. When we, of course, if we have nothing, heaven forbid, we have no mitzvahs, so we've spoken about this, we can also depend on Hashem because the very mitzvah bitachon itself protects us. Depending on Hashem itself is an incredible merit, right? But it's much better to have bitachon alongside of fulfilling the mitzvahs, fulfilling the commandments, learning the Torah. When we have those things, so then we have a shield, we have a sword. Hashem protects all those who trust in Him, all those who place their faith in Him, which is this parallel idea. So we understand, what does it mean Hashem is our Magen? He's our shield. So sometimes in order for Hashem to be our shield, in order for us to have the merit for God to shield us, we need to make sure that we've picked up the shield. What's the method of picking up the shield? Through the mitzvahs, through the Torah. It seems to be what he's saying. The Radak says, Sal'i k'maya selav ha'matzuda sheyiskava adam sham mipnei oivav. Now we said that Hashem is our rock. Hashem, right? You see, I'm sitting on this rock. You see this big rock behind me? Hashem is our rock. He's solid, right? He is our fortress. Sheyiskava adam sham mipnei oivav. What is a rock? What is a fortress? Right, stone is very powerful. Right, right near a quarry, you can hear the banging in the background probably. And they take stone, they take mountain stone, and they use it for buildings. There's nothing more powerful than stone. Stone is very solid. It's very has incredible protective abilities. Homes in the States are made out of wood. Wood can burn down. Rock cannot burn down. Right, so. Just like a rock and a fortress that a person sequesters himself within it to protect himself from his enemies, Kain shimcha hu li sela umutsuda li sagib boy. What does the passuk say? Hashem sali umutsudasi. Hashem, which means the name of Hashem, as the Radak understands it. The name of Hashem is my rock, is my fortress. Right. So I use Hashem's name. What does it mean? I use Hashem's name, or Hashem's name is called upon us. It means that. The fact that I, again, am involved in mitzvahs, I'm involved in Torah, I am placing God's name upon myself. I'm identifying myself with godliness. I am somebody who you look at and you see and you think that's a godly person. Halavai, I should be such a person. I'm saying a person who makes every attempt to make the Torah, to make the will of Hashem his own will. So that person has Hashem's name placed upon him. Okay, umefalti, Hashem is the one who takes me out. What's the difference between a rock, a fortress, and a mefalet? And a mefalet is somebody who helps me escape. helps me escape the jail, helps me escape from my enemies. Right? So it's a deeper praise of Hashem, that not only does Hashem save me, not only is He my rock and my fortress, but a rock and a fortress sometimes, I could still, the fortress could be penetrated. Right? So, his enemies can grab him. David HaMelech is telling us that when we trust in Hashem's name, when we rely upon Hashem, so we can be assured that Hashem is not just a rock or a fortress, He's everything. He saves me in every situation. He takes me out of the situation of oppression. He gives me a way out. He gives me a way out. Says the Ibn Ezra, Derech Mashal, Ibn Ezra says, why does David HaMelech describe Hashem as a fortress? What's a fortress? A fortress is a place where you go on top, you're on top of a tower, and from there you look down. You feel powerful. You're above everyone who's underneath you. So, in a similar way, when we have risen up, it's a beautiful mashal, when we have risen up, when we have become spiritual, when we have made our ideals very high and lofty, so we look down in a certain sense. We look down upon our enemies. We look down upon those who chase us. We look down upon our challenges, and we realize that Hashem is with us. Hashem is saving us. That we have that spiritual strength because of our good deeds. Now he brings from the Rabbeinu Sadi Gaon. Tzuri, Etzem Hashem Husela. What is the description of Hashem as my rock? Right? Tzuri, Lekei Tzuri Echseboy. We're going to see. God is my rock. I trust in Him. What does it mean that Hashem is my rock? Hakavana boy haisha'anus. A rock is something that you can rely upon, that you can lean on. I'm sitting right now on a rock. It's very solid. And when you sit on a piece of wood, again, back to the wood, you can sit on a piece of wood and the wood can rot. It can fall apart. A rock never falls apart. A rock is very solid. It's very powerful. What this means, says Rabbeinu Sadia Gaon, is that Hashem is my rock. Hashem is the one upon whom I can depend. Hashem is the one upon whom I need to trust, that when things don't go exactly as I would like them to go, I need to accept that which Hashem has decreed. A person should not have any other thought in regards to the way that Hashem is leading him in life, in the way that Hashem is interacting with him, in the way that the world is rolling for that individual. We find that the word sur, which is a rock, is used in the context of the fact that Hashem, all of His actions are completely perfect. Which means, even the situations that we don't understand why certain things happen. We don't understand why negative things happen in our lives. But, Hatzur Tam Pa'alai means God is the perfect rock. Everything that He does is for our good. We need to accept every situation in which we find ourselves. So what does it mean? I will trust in Him. I will search for protection near Him. Again, the similar thing that we had before, which is that if a person believes in Hashem, if a person trusts in Hashem, so the Pa'al Yaitse from that, the Hashlacha, the result of such a trust is that I need to do that which Hashem commands me. Right? I can't turn to somebody, ask them for help, and then the next day stab them in the back. Right? The fact that I trust in Hashem, the fact that I place my faith in Him, the fact that I'm asking Him constantly for salvation, for help, requires me to now to follow up on that. It means that I have a relationship with God. It means that I have to do that which He says. Again, all that which I have been commanded through God's shliach, through His messengers, right? Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, is a messenger of God. The words of Hashem are trufa. The word trufa means purified, right? What is the concept of trufa? We have it on Yom Kippur, in the beautiful poem of how we are like the basic clay, the basic form that the potter forms into something, brings about a form, right? So there's also a tzaref. A tzaref is somebody who takes glass, and I believe it's the glass. It might be the one who uses metal, but it heats it to a certain level, and then it's able to form things out of it. So Hashem is a tzaref. Call him as Hashem tzrufa. They're purified, right? And the challenges that we go through are a purification process. Call him as Hashem tzrufa. And I would posit that this is also saying that the very commandments of Hashem, when we fulfill the commandments, it's a challenge. It's not easy. Some of the things are gishmak. Some of the mitzvahs are enjoyable, and some of them are more challenging. But they serve to purify us. When we commit ourselves to the will of Hashem, it serves to purify us, and in so doing, through that purification process, we become more connected to Hashem. We become higher individuals, as we said before. We're able to look down from a higher vantage, and we're able to recognize that our enemies are nothing compared to us. Why? Because Hashem is in our lives, because Hashem has purified us through the actions that we take, which are spiritual actions. Thank you very much for listening. That's what we've got for today. See you again next time.